You like this?
You like me now?
Oh, I'm dropping things. You still find me sexy.
I
asked you a question.
Do I still think you're sexy?
Yeah.
I've been paying you compliments all night.
I know, but I just did something really stupid.
And you think that somehow you're not sexy anymore?
I feel insecure.
Oh, so if I really just prolong my answer, it's going to be like torture, right? And we are back for YouTube. Just recorded some Patreon content. Feeling pretty good about that. Had some laughs.
Yeah.
Got to change my mindset a little bit because when we first sat down, I was feeling very aggressive. Mm-hmm. And I'm not feeling quite as aggressive now. I'm a little more one than anyone.
Yeah.
Got a new fancy disclaimer. Just kidding. No. What?
My body's confused.
We are not experts on your life. You are. We believe that any relationship can be saved as long as both parties are willing to do the work, willing to grow and listen, and that both of you want it. If you decide to stay or to go, you still have to learn how to communicate. If you fail to do the work, you will fail in your next relationship. So before you quit, do the work. Best disclaimer we've had so far.
Yeah, I like it. It's good.
Because there's going to be times that we're going to tell you that we don't think you should be in a relationship with somebody. Mm-hmm. And it's not our relationship. We get a very small window into your world with the emails that you send. Yes. And sometimes the shit that we give you is not going to be what you want to hear. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're going to be like, this sounds like a really bad scenario. And if we were in that scenario, we would leave.
Yep.
So when we say that to you, just know that we get a microscopic view into your life. And we're going to base everything in your world off of the email that you send us. So if you send us a 2-paragraph email where all you do is shit on someone, we're like, that's a bad person. You don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I love him. He also does X, Y, Z 10 to 15, 20,000 power times. It doesn't really help us because the first email you sent us, you shit on him. So your follow-up email is completely irrelevant at that point.
Right.
So take what we say with a grain of salt. Live your life. Do the work.
I concur.
Learn to communicate. Be better.
Yes.
I was trying to think if I had anything of relevance to talk about.
And about what?
Anything. And I don't, because the only 3 topics that are currently in my head right now is the fact that the Super Bowl's on, and I don't know. I only know the teams that are playing because Jeff Graham's team is playing tonight. He's a Chiefs fan.
Oh, dope.
So I know that they made it to the Super Bowl, and I'm rooting for his team because he's my buddy. We shot down another object today over the U.S. It's 4 in 8 days. We don't know what it is, where it came from. First, it was a China balloon. Then there was one over Alaska, one over a Canadian airspace, and then one today in northern Michigan. So 4 things in our airspace that were shot down.
I'm getting very uncomfortable.
In 8 days. Right. We have no idea what's what. There's not any kind of information being going. The first, the balloon made it all the way across the country over crazy sites that it shouldn't have been flown over. When things enter your airspace, it can technically be taken as an act of war, and like big things could be falling apart because of it. And then the other thing that's heavily on my mind, which is kind of pointless to even bring up, during the Super Bowl tonight, there will be a commercial about Jesus. Mm-hmm. And it has not even aired yet, as far as I know. It's 8:30 at night. It could have aired by now. But it's been a big thing all over the news and TikTok and all over all of the social media feeds for the last 3 days. It's been forced down my throat that this thing is happening, and people are up in arms over the fact that there's going to be a commercial about Jesus.
Why?
Because you're supposed to hate Christianity. That's the new thing. Well, it's not new. In Matthew, Jesus said that you're going to be hated for worshiping him. But
right.
So anyways, this is going to be a thing. But if you were to talk about Islam or any of the other religions out there, they're treated with respect. Christianity, for some reason, is not. And you can hate organized religion and you can hate everything that you want to hate because it's your life. You can do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. But we live in a world where there is child grooming and we have corrupt politicians who are known pedophiles running our country, Epstein's list has still not been released.
I was thinking about that this morning.
We have all kinds of shit going on right now, and the biggest news topic is the fact that there will be a Jesus commercial during the Super Bowl, and people are offended by it. That's really what we have to worry about, really. The Twitter files have proven that there was, I have to be careful how I word this because we're on YouTube, that there was funny business happening during 2020 when the elections happened.
Mm-hmm.
There was congressional hearings where the people who worked at Twitter came in and admitted it on camera. The FBI gave over $3 million to Twitter of taxpayers' money. Also been admitted. The big topic is that there's a Jesus commercial. This is what we're focusing on in life.
We're gonna be the death of ourselves.
We already are. We already are. Did you see the do you know the Cristo Jesus statue in Rio de Janeiro that's not actually Jesus? Mm-hmm. It got struck by lightning.
Oh wow.
Like somebody caught it on camera and it struck the head and there's rays coming off of it like a sun all around the head. There are so many people prophesizing that this is the beginning of the end times because of that thing. And obviously people have been prophesizing the end of days for 1,000 years now.
Right.
But I want to show you a whole bunch of stuff because I found all kinds of stuff on that today. I went down a rabbit hole hard with that one.
Okay.
So now that we've lost all of our unnatural followers, everyone who still follow us that listens and is here for the long term of the video, thank you. Hello, how are you doing? I'm glad you're here. Glad you haven't left by our nonsense.
Yeah.
Hopefully you agree, and if you don't, you can tell us why in the comments.
That's cool.
2 thumbs up either way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you're still here a whole 6 minutes in, and I just went on that tirade. What do you think of the new disclaimer? That was pretty neat, right?
Yeah, I like it. You did a very good job.
I actually need to memorize it so I can just fluidly say it, or read it a bunch of times so that I have it memorized so that it flows a little more natural. Would you like to get into some emails?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Pause for effect.
It worked. It got me. I was like, what's he going to say? Oh, what is it? Damn it.
This is from a Patreon member.
Okay. I'm going to apologize for this being all over the map. I have felt it's time to say a full thank you to you. When I first found Chris, meaning you, on TikTok, I was blown away and found the words to describe the relationship I want. Shortly after, I followed Chris, meaning me, and gained more insight into a lifestyle I truly wanted but never knew how to say I wanted this. A little info, I am 32, he is 38. We have a very on and off relationship for 10 years. We had a very on and off relationship for 10 years. Right person, wrong time. Constant stream of failed relationships between us both, and every time each of us suffered a broken heart, it was the other one who helped us fix it. 5 years ago, I left my mentally abusive baby daddy.
God, I hate that phrase so
I
much.
was just thinking that. I was like, you just said my kid's dad.
Right. The father of my children, my ex.
Yeah. Of course, I ran into the arms of the man who I've always called my magnet. I never had words to describe how I feel for him, other than he is a magnet and I am metal. We just stick together. After 3 years of dating, we never got it right, both using old trauma as a crutch to keep the other at arm's distance. I broke up with him. I went on this bad bitch way of no one is ever good enough for me. After a few months, he went through some rough patches and broke down calling me crying, saying he messed up. We got back together and shortly after moved in. This was a huge step for him. I was the only girlfriend he ever took serious since his terrible divorce. She cheated and tried to take everything, so I understand his fear of marriage. In these 3 years, I never dropped my bad bitch taking on the world mindset. I built myself a business which allowed me to care for our kids. I take care of Airbnb so the owners don't have to. I handle everything from cleaning to maintenance. Our relationship never grew. Never grow?
Yeah, you're right. Never grew.
Okay.
Or while our relationship never grew.
We fell into a roommate phase very quickly. We barely touched and went 2 years without sex.
Rough.
I went into this whole following you, listening to every word, thinking I'm going to fix him. He needed fixing. Mm-hmm. Yes, I was the woman y'all feared would take this info to manipulate him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really need to take a moment to absorb that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. She went in. This is a thank you email. So it gets better. I read this one today. I actually replied a couple of times because I know she's a Patreon member.
Right.
But she flat out said that I was going to fix him. He was the one needed fixing, which you can't fix somebody. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And she was going to be the manipulator to make it happen. She owned that shit.
Right. I like, good on you for owning it.
Yeah.
I'm just really flabbergasted because I said the other day, like, I fear that women are going to use this to manipulate men. And that proves it.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's amazing that you recognize that that's wrong.
Right.
That's dope. It's just, I'm very taken aback by that. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. It's a good email, though.
That's one of my worst fears in all of this. It wasn't long before I realized it wasn't him. It was me that was broken. Yes, he isn't perfect, but I sure as shit didn't make it easy on him. I nagged and constantly stayed on his ass for not loving me the way I wanted and needed. I honestly don't know why he stayed with me so long. I was a bitch. I belittled him. This man works every day to provide a beautiful home, bought me multiple cars. He works for a dealership, so we are constantly changing what we drive.
I don't work for a dealership, but me too. Me too. I have a car addiction.
Yes, you do. I don't have to work. I choose to because I can't sit still. I have to be busy. I thought our life was awful, and he was the worst. I took the video where Chris said, "You choose to let intimacy die," to really slap me in the face. Like, I cried for hours hearing that, and I was furious at myself. I want to clarify that she heard me say it.
Yeah.
I think it's more impactful when it comes from a woman.
It absolutely is. That's why this dynamic works so well.
Yeah.
Because I can speak for men and you can speak for women. I love this.
I also want to like pat myself on the back and say, I think me saying men want submission and then 5 minutes later having a man say that men want submission, that's kind of a golden ticket to kind of speak for men.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting there.
I just want to put it out there. Like, I'm doing the research. I'm listening to you guys. I'm learning. I am a student of men.
Taking notes.
I am. I have a notebook. I named it Lily. Like, I am in this. I'm trying, guys. Like,
she said, I nagged constantly, stayed on his ass for not loving me the way I wanted and needed. I honestly don't know why he stayed with me so long. I was a bitch. I belittled him, and this man works every day to provide a beautiful home.
I love she's acknowledging it.
I do too.
Like,
the fact that she was able to just throw it all out there and be like, this is the problem. I'm the problem. I can fix this.
That was me.
Yeah.
When I realized I was the problem, I cried for probably 4 hours.
You're going to love this next line.
Like, oh, okay.
You can keep talking. I love hearing you talk. So either way, it doesn't matter if you read the email or keep talking to me, but
yeah,
I'm not trying to cut you off.
You like hear me talk? Oh man, I just had so many scenarios run through my head, but I want to do the most stupidest thing with the most god awful sound to ever come out of my mouth.
Why? Why would you do that?
It'd be funny. You like this?
You like me now?
Oh, I'm dropping things. You still find me sexy.
What time was that? The fucking timestamp. That was good.
I asked you a question.
Do I still think you're sexy?
Yeah.
I've been paying you compliments all night.
I know, but I just did something really stupid.
And you think that somehow you're not sexy anymore?
I feel insecure.
Oh, so if I really just prolong my answer, it's going to be like torture, right?
Do I speak the thought I just had?
Yes, you're still sexy.
How did we get here?
We derail. It's what we do.
Where did we go? Oh, man. Okay, that day, he came home and I loved on him, cuddled him. I got more affection that night than I have in years.
Crazy how that works. Crazy good.
He's like, oh, damn, she's about me?
Yeah.
Okay.
She likes me again.
Game on.
Women control the intimacy.
I bet he thought game on.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
He mentally high-fived him. He's like,
Oh, yeah. He's like, we getting it tonight.
yeah, it happened.
And all she did was cuddle him and love up on him a little bit.
Yep. Gave him the green light.
And he took it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I was the one that needed to step up and break the cycles. Since then, we both are way more loving and kind, and now we are always touching one another. Just simply sitting on the couch, my feet at least have to be touching his legs, or he is always holding my hand or resting his hand on my leg. We started the check-ins a few weeks ago and realized we don't communicate well. He hates it when I cry.
Yep. Imagine that.
I get that. That's why I don't cry in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the shit out of that.
You know, I really, when I have to process things, I don't know why it happens. I just start crying.
Yeah.
I can't control it. I'm so overwhelmed with emotion. I don't know if it's because of my autism and I don't know how to verbalize it, but I just start sobbing. And there are times where like I ugly cry. Like I am screaming and there's snot and I look like a wild child that just came out of the forest.
It's actually been weaponized against me.
What?
Yeah. Because they knew it was a weakness.
No way.
I don't do well with that shit. Like, it doesn't matter what's happening. When women start crying around me, I fall apart. I don't know what to do. Like, how do I make it stop? Like,
yeah,
it's bad. It's a struggle for me. And when people know that it's a thing, it absolutely can be used as a tool for manipulation.
That's disgusting.
It is. But it's a thing.
So now I can understand why you go and why you appreciate me going to my car and crying.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy those moments where I can just sit there by myself and process my emotions and not be judged.
Mm.
Wow, you said it's been weaponized against you, and that just totally threw me off.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever told me that.
It's one of those things that come up in conversation.
That's absolutely disgusting to me.
People are trash.
Shame on those people.
Yeah. I hate that I just used the term weaponized.
I mean, but it was.
I know. But I would just rather say that it's one of my vulnerabilities that have been used against me in conflict. Because that explains what's happening without using a buzzword. Because now everything is weaponized, and I just don't like that term.
Right. So he hates it when I cry. So we changed up the methods, and if there's something super emotional for me, I will send it in a text. So I can word vomit and process and rewrite it so I'm not bitching and he doesn't see me cry. And I add when I am venting and when I need it to be resolved. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chris, for mansplaining that, meaning you.
Hate that term too.
Seriously a game changer. And yes, I have text to prove you were right with the men just want to make you happy. I have heard that so much in the past few weeks from him. He just wants to make me happy.
And he doesn't even watch our videos.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
It's almost like you're a man.
Oh, I'm giving the secrets.
But you know, I've said that in TikToks.
I know. But you're not a man. You don't get to say that.
But it's almost like I know what men want.
I know. Well,
so
just stop it. Don't let your head get too big. I don't want to have to buy you another pillow.
I would like another pillow, though. I know I'm joking about it. But when it boils down to it, I would say like I'm 75% accurate on knowing what men want. Did I just say accurate?
You just said accurate, but we knew what you meant.
I would say I'm 75% accurate in case
with your vernacular.
If you,
yeah.
I feel like you're being generous. Thank you. 75% accurate. In case you want to cut that and make me sound smart. Make me sound smart.
This is what happens when we record late.
Have you ever seen that meme of like the dude in the mirror and he's like, "Why are we like this?
Yeah.
Why am I like this?" It's not hard. Just be a human. Game changer. Have the text prove it. Men just want. I've heard him say it so much in a few weeks. He just wants to make me happy. We decided also to do mini nightly check-ins. Simple and easy. That's the second email we've received where they say they do nightly check-ins.
This was the chick who said it. It was during a live stream.
Was it?
On Patreon.
That's impressive.
It is beneficial because it gives you an opportunity to create dialogue every night.
It does.
And without it being a crazy check-in.
Yeah, and at that point, it just becomes regular conversation.
Right.
That's how you integrate check-ins into regular conversation.
Yeah. It also helps you learn to communicate with each other.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually really smart. I thought about that a lot after the live stream.
She did it.
What?
She did the thing. Isn't that how you like signify? Not Simon Says. Charades. You're right.
I don't know.
Is that not it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't have family game night.
We'll go with it then. I don't think I've ever in my life played charades.
Me either.
Okay, good.
So I've made you laugh a lot during this podcast. And we're going to get back to the email, I promise. This is one of those moments where I need you to be honest.
I faked it all.
You bitch. I'm legit about to cry. I need you to take it back.
You know that I'm kidding.
Why am I so emotional?
So much to cut out.
Tell me I'm funny.
I feel like this is some weird kink thing.
I'm trying not to cry.
Tell me I'm funny, Daddy. Tell me I'm funny.
It is now. When you said it that, like, fuck. You said it, now my body's like, maybe.
Oh, man.
So I'm going to act like you didn't just hurt my feelings.
You know damn well I was kidding.
I know. And skit. So do you think I can make it as a comedian?
Are we back on that? Are we trying to live that dream now?
I just made you laugh a ton.
You did.
Genuinely.
Yeah, it was funny. Are we going to give up the tattooing thing to become a comedian now?
I didn't say that. I need the validation, like maybe in the future. I could have the option.
You are definitely funny.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God.
And dramatic.
I can breathe. Yeah, that was really nice for me. That was a lot of emotions just now. Okay. Ow. Don't laugh at me.
You want to be funny.
No. You're right. That wasn't me trying to intentionally be funny. That was me like hurting myself with my glasses. Why did you laugh at that?
Because you hurt yourself with your glasses.
Damn, you're right. I really can't pick and choose.
No, you can't.
When people get to laugh at me. I wasn't ready for that aspect of it. All right. Mini checklist. Simple and easy. How are you on one night? Next night, I really love that you are doing XYZ during the week or the weekend. After the kids are in bed and things are quiet, it really allows us to open up. We are slowly learning how to communicate effectively to one another. So Chris, meaning me, thank you so much for teaching me that if you want as good as a man as you have, you want to have... So Chris, thank you so much for teaching me that if you want...
I should have said a good man.
Okay, if you want a good man, you have to be a good woman first. I said that in a TikTok. If you want a good man, are you willing to be a good woman for that good man?
Yep.
It's not easy being a good woman. It is much easier for me to be frustrated and angry and bitch and complain because in that moment, it makes me feel better.
Right.
To be a good woman is to overlook that frustration and say, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. I have a house. I don't have to work. I love not working. Working is not one of my favorite activities.
Yeah.
I hate it. My kids are taken care of. I don't have to worry about where my food's coming from. I don't have to worry about my lights being shut off. I don't have to worry about waking up and hoping I can take a shower before the water's turned off.
Yeah.
My life is good. So instead of complaining about the fact that you don't rinse your dishes off before you put them in the sink, or you don't move every single hanger to the side like I like to do, get out of here.
Yeah, you got to pick your battles.
Pick your battles. It's not hard to be a good woman once you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for showing me that it's okay to be my nurturing, healing self, and it's okay to not be a boss bitch and that I need my man. It's okay to need him. That sentence right there is the whole reason I started making my TikToks.
Yeah.
That it's okay to be a feminine woman and not have a career and not be a massive CEO and be a stay-at-home wife and be present for your children and be your man's rock.
I'm not going to give you a percentage on this, but I guarantee you that it's very high that men want feminine women.
And women want to be feminine.
Right, but they're choosing not to be.
Right.
And I understand that there's bad men out there. Mm-hmm. There's bad women. that goes without saying, but I have to say it because otherwise people in the comment are going to make moot points. But when it comes down to it, if you want to be feminine and men want women who are in their feminine, why not live your life in your feminine?
Right.
You can still be a CEO and be a feminine woman. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be an asshole.
I help you run the studios.
Yeah. You help me run all the businesses.
And I'm still a feminine woman. It's going to sound super cocky of me. When I walk into a room, I believe that I am the most confident feminine woman in that room.
Yeah.
I believe that. I have yet to encounter another woman to match my energy. There are more masculine women in the room than me.
Yeah, but how does it serve them?
Right. I mean, it might serve them in aspects of their life and however they're living it. I mean, if you're masculine and you're happy and all your shit's taken care of and everybody in your life is satiated, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Live your masculine life.
The fuck was that?
No, the door.
Oh. I'm actually one of those people that would prefer you not to work, even though you were working for me. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want you to go to work for someone else, especially another man, because in the event that you don't submit to me at home and you went to work every day and I knew that you were submitting to another man's whim because you're working for him, I would have a problem with that on a subconscious level, knowing that you were going to work every single day submitting to another man and then coming home and giving me grief.
Right.
And though you don't give me grief, that's the scenario for most men who have a dual income household because they can't afford to do it on one income.
Right.
And though a lot of men will not equate that for a thing, now that I've said that, you guys are going to think about that shit and be like, damn, he is not wrong. Because your woman won't submit to you, but she's going to work and submitting to some other person for a paycheck. So she's choosing to submit to somebody else for money,
right,
and not to her husband for love. Mm-hmm. Subconsciously, that was a thing for me. It's always been a thing for me.
I get it. Because if you needed a secretary for your job, I would be your secretary.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm about to do this for the second time. And I'm going to look up and we're going to make eye contact. And he was looking at me. I have goosebumps. My whole life is my own romance novel, and I love it. Yeah.
That's funny.
I narrate. Oh, I'm going to have fun. I'm so flustered.
Oh, man.
Wow. I narrate our life and our marriage like a romance novel in my head.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I'm smutty, isn't it?
Oh, God. I'm sorry. It's 9:40.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We wasted a lot of time.
Wow. Well, I wouldn't say we wasted time. I've been having fun.
We've been laughing our ass off. We've been back here cracking jokes and spitting snot all over the place. I almost spit soda all over my Roadcaster a minute ago. It was like you timed that, waiting for me to put soda in my mouth.
I went from being such a bitter bitch to realizing that I was the majority of our problems and finally growing the fuck up instead of playing the victim card. You've also given me a better mindset. Somehow listening to you has challenged me to do more. I'm back to watching what I eat. I don't work out like I would like to, but I do walk on my treadmill daily, mainly when listening to older content or when re-listening to older content. You have both changed my life in such a crazy way. The content is definitely a mental check on life. Stop. Do you mean that? That's my goal. I want people to realize that you are in control. Even in scenarios like hers where she's like, he needs to be fixed. Mm-hmm. You're in control. In fixing yourself, you're fixing him. This isn't like a follow the leader situation, but women are the key holder to everything in the relationship.
Yeah.
So when you set a path and you're like, hey, babe, let's go this way, he's going to follow you because he wants you to be happy.
Yep.
That's all it takes.
Women dictate the intimacy of a relationship.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean just sexually. It means all around. I have a challenge for everybody, especially for those of you who are in the Patreon group. I know that it's easier for me to keep up with the comments there than it is on YouTube because I get email notifications for that, and I don't on YouTube. If you guys are in the Patreon group, and I guess I'm going to post this as well as a question. So for both YouTube and Patreon, if you do this, let me know. I want you and your partner to pick a date, right? So like pick a night that you know you don't have your kids or whatever. One person picks dinner. One person picks the task after dinner. Whoever picks the dinner orders everything.
Yeah, no asking what you want to eat.
Right. So if we like flip a coin, heads or tails, and you get dinner, you get to order my food. I don't get to make any decisions on that. And then I get to pick the second part of the date where I get to decide everything and you get no decision making. You're going to find out how much your partner really knows you. It's going to remove all accountability on your half of their date. That didn't come
Your
out
half
right.
of the date.
Right. No, on theirs. You will have no accountability on their half of the date.
Okay.
So if you're buying dinner, I don't have any accountability here. I'm just along for the ride. You're going to pick everything, pay for everything. And then if like, let's say we go to dinner at a steakhouse, you order my food, you know what I'm going to get. We're married. We know what each other eats. So let's go somewhere that we've never eaten before. And then the next part of dinner is mine. So if we go somewhere and we do putt-putt, mini golf, that's my suggestion. You don't get any say. And then when we're there, I'm like, we're going to play left-handed. Something stupid, just off the wall. Something that is not that a thing that you guys normally do, because it's going to take you completely out of your comfort zones. It's going to make it so that there's no say on one half of the date, and it's going to make you guys engage with each other.
It also gives you guys the opportunity to make each other happy.
Doing something that you've never done before, potentially, because it's not a discussion.
Right.
What do you want to do? I don't know. Well, what do you want to do? You get to decide. Each one of you get to decide part of your date. I think it would be a fun experiment to try. So if you guys do that, I'd like to know what it was that you had for dinner, how the dinner date went, and then what the second part of the date was.
I want to do this.
Yeah?
Yeah. Then we can tell them what we did, how we fared.
Heads or tails?
Heads or tails?
Yeah.
Tails.
Hey, Siri, flip a coin. Heads. Did you pick heads or tails?
Tails.
All right. So then I get to pick dinner. You get to pick the other thing.
Okay.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
we have plenty of time to figure it out.
Dope. Last email. I am 37 years young and a single mom to a 14-year-old daughter. I have finally gotten us out of an awful situation with a relationship I was in, and I have a male friend, and I have had a male friend in my life for 20 plus years. We always come back together, but we never went all in with each other with clear intentions. He has been expressing to me for about 7 years that he wants me to be his wife. We have an out-of-this-world soulful sexual connection. He truly shows his desire for me like no one ever has, which is of course important, but not everything. I'm struggling because I don't know what direction to take, and I'm going to try to break down why. I feel like I know what I want in a partner. I am a huge pothead, and it's legal where I am, but he's not a smoker. I find it comforting to lay in bed with my partner and smoke and enjoy each other, and when traveling, it's just who I am. It sounds so petty, but I know I enjoy a partner who loves Mary Jane too.
Why is that even remotely relevant? Why would that be why would that be a deal breaker or like a necessity for you? You smoke. We both have our medical cards.
Right.
I could partake. I choose not to because I don't like what it does to me.
Right.
I don't give a shit one way or another if you smoke. I think it's funny when you get ripped. When you took that concentrate the other night and got super, super stoned, I laughed at you all night. It was funny to me.
Yeah.
It was cute. Like you had a great night. You don't do that every night. You do smoke to maintain because of the reasons that you have your medical card. But if that was a thing where you had to have a man who smoked, you and I wouldn't be together.
Right.
You would have your life would be exactly where it was when we met. Nope.
No,
that's a
I would
lie.
probably be worse off.
It would be worse off.
Because I'd be supporting a man.
Right. Because you decided that in that scenario, you decided that a man that smoked was more important than a man who was able to support protect, lead,
Right.
and be a man.
I'm going to correct myself and say I could be supporting a man. Not all men who smoke weed are dependents.
Oh, I wouldn't even go in that route.
Well, I just want to clear, because I did say that. I said I would be supporting a man if I chose someone who smokes weed over somebody who
Right.
doesn't.
Well,
If that was the deal breaker.
right. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. I was
Right.
thinking along the lines of your exes and the fact that you did support some of them.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so from past experience,
yeah, I took it completely different than you meant it.
yeah. But from experience, I could
Yeah.
I could be supporting a man because I'd rather have somebody to smoke with than build a foundation with.
I truly don't see how that would be a deal breaker.
Right.
I understand the want to be able to like lay around, relax, have your night. What if you found a man who enjoyed it, like a single glass of whiskey, and he had a glass of whiskey before bed, you smoked before bed, and you guys went and laid down and had a good night where he had a mild possible buzz from his one drink, or he's relaxed from it. You got relaxed from your smoking.
Right.
Why is that a necessity? Like that doesn't sound like a scenario where you're setting yourself up for success. Because you are putting something very superficial as a like top, like a top tier necessity
Right.
for your relationship.
From a partner.
Right. That's not something that should be even factored into whether or not your partner is a valid partner. And if it is, it should be like in the top 30, not in the top 3.
Right. Also, I'm huge into Halloween movies, traveling to see scenes from movies, concerts. Music is a part of my life, or music is my life. He likes these things too, but completely different styles and genres. I'm super into Halloween, and I like dead stuff.
I'm not at all.
I have a cat skull on my dresser, and I have a bat, an epoxy. I still have my individuality within a relationship.
Right. You should. You should
Right.
always maintain that.
You know, this is the kind of thing where that shouldn't be a deal breaker.
Right.
If you enjoy Halloween and horror movies and going to see those kinds of things, he should be willing to enjoy that with you because that's something you're into. But vice versa, you should be going to the concert that he enjoys
Right.
and the venues that he enjoys and all the genres and the styles, all that stuff. You know, that's an opportunity for you to make each other happy.
There's also an opportunity there for you to keep your individuality and go with your sister or your cousin or a friend.
Right.
You don't have to do those kind of things with your partner. If you want to do them and the other person doesn't want to, do it with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to go to Salem
Right.
because you were into that witch thing for a while, like that was a huge part of your life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm still into it. The history is fascinating
Right.
to me.
I mean, I would probably enjoy it
Mm-hmm.
if it was off season, but the idea of walking around crowded cities like that and being caught in buildings that are tourist traps, like I wouldn't enjoy that.
Right.
I would probably do it once, maybe.
We've actually talked about it.
Right. But the idea of you and Jackie going and, me and Evan staying here and you guys having a girls trip would be more beneficial than you and I going together. And I know that it would be more beneficial because one, she's been there. She knows her way around. You're both into that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It would allow you to have a girl time, which is super good as well. It's just one of those things that I wouldn't enjoy it the way that you and Jackie both would enjoy it.
I
And
want to make this happen.
you and Jackie or me and you?
Me and Jackie.
No, and it could happen. I'd gladly make that happen.
Oh my God.
But it's one of those things that like you don't realize how much you need that female companionship.
Mm-hmm.
It's important.
I think it's important to say female companionship.
Right.
If you're going out and doing these Halloween things and movies and traveling to see scenes with another man, in my view, that's cheating.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
You're seeking a sort of emotional validation from somebody who's not your man.
Right.
It's different when it's from a woman. Now, if that woman is romantically, like, kind of pining after you, that same thing in my view.
Right. Agreed.
You're giving that person quality time with you who is interested in you. No.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
One of my best experiences ever on a vacation is when Jacob and I went to Vegas.
Yeah.
We hit everything. Ghost towns, deserts, like Forrest ended up coming with us. We ended up having like me and my 2 best friends at the time driving around the desert for a week.
Yeah.
Hitting dispensaries, doing all the, the touristy shit out there, but like it was off touristy shit, not the strip stuff. Mm-hmm. And I have more memories from that 7-day trip than any of my other trips to Vegas. I hit my first royal flush that weekend. Like
Right.
we had like a really good time. And had that been me and 2 other women, it would have been a very different scenario. I wouldn't have enjoyed myself as much.
Right.
That same sex time that you have with your friends, or the bromances, or whatever you want to call it, is important to maintaining independence, individuality in a relationship.
I agree. So he is huge into sports. I have no interest in them. That's another thing where if he's watching the football game, you can go with your chick friends and watch a movie.
Yeah.
Or he can be in the living room and you guys can be like, no, that's kind of weird.
What?
If like her and her chick friends are all in like the bedroom watching a movie, because like I wouldn't want you having your dude friends in our bedroom.
Oh, I wouldn't do that anyways.
Right.
But you know, how often are 2 people sitting on the couch watching the same thing?
You're right. Phones.
Right.
Yeah.
So if he's super into football and you're not, you can listen to music, you can go to the gym, you can go walk around, you can ride a bicycle, you can go outside and play music, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to.
Right.
Sports is not a 24/7 thing. She's nitpicking. Like she's super nitpicking.
I would say this is nitpicking. And I'm going to be honest. If I was this guy and I knew that she's contemplating not being with me because I smoke pot, I would just leave.
Yeah.
I have
you don't smoke pot.
Right. I have so many other good qualities and you're really considering not being with me because I don't smoke pot?
Right. And because I watch sports.
That would hurt my feelings. I'm going to be honest. That would really hurt my feelings. I bring so much more to the table and you're going to nitpick like that.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing in this email where she's like, but he does this and I really love it. The only thing that she mentioned that's super dope in the relationship is their sexual connection.
Yeah. But so even if everything else in her life is perfect and these 3 things are her complaints, these 3 things are very, very minor in terms of
right.
If he doesn't care that you smoke, he just doesn't smoke. And he's okay with you ripping bong tokes in the bedroom while he's laying in bed and it doesn't faze him, it shouldn't matter.
Right.
If he's like, babe, I don't like, I don't want to smell like that. I can't breathe it in. I get piss test, whatever. You get a vape or eat an edible. You can still partake. You don't have to do it in the bedroom. And if you absolutely have to do it in bed, then that's a you problem. Like you're not going to find a man that is going to meet all of these other expectations and be a pothead.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you will. I think that's such a superficial thing.
So this is a checklist, right? Like when you're looking at a partner, you have a checklist.
Yes.
I would say you meet 9 out of 10 things on my checklist.
Yeah.
The one thing that you're working on it. It's emotional support. That's very hard for you, especially when I'm crying.
Yeah.
I can't force you to be there for me
Right.
emotionally when I'm crying because of things that have happened to you in your past. I'm understanding of that. I can't bitch about that.
Right.
So am I going to overlook all of the 9 other things because you don't meet that one need I have?
Right.
No. I hope I didn't just hurt your feelings. Okay.
No, I actually thought about this whole emotional thing because this is one of the big hangups.
Yeah.
And it's really not a big hangup.
What do you mean a hang up? Yeah.
It's a hangup in that, like, if you have a checklist of 10 things that are required of a partner and I meet 9 out of 10 and I'm hung up on 1, like, I could be better. Come on. It's just 1. So I've thought about it.
Right.
A
But
lot.
that's also 40 years of emotional damage that you have to go through and process. I
Right.
can't expect you to be that for me because
Nope.
of everything that's happened to you.
That's right, because it would require me to be the one to engage in that. But in this scenario where you were being emotional and needed me and came and sat in my lap, it would 100% happen.
Right.
I would give you every emotional support you needed, no matter how frustrated or mad I was, because you made a decision to come and sit in my lap, and I knew that I would know that that's what you needed in the moment, instead of trying to read your energy to see if you're giving me the silent treatment, to see if you're processing, to see if you hate me, to figure out my BPD, whether or not you're abandoning me, and all of that shit. I've put a lot of thought into this. I was not trying to have this conversation on the podcast, but that's the answer to our emotional issue. If you were going through it and we are going through it and you were to just say, fuck it, I'm sitting in his lap, I'm going to cry on his chest, in his lap, I would never push you away. Never. That's the answer to that whole scenario.
Wow.
Yep. Put a lot of thought into that.
That's a lot.
Do you know that when we have our arguments,
Right.
my borderline kicks in immediately? It
Right.
happened this morning over a text message. I was like, I need you to tell me that you're not abandoning me right now.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a, it wasn't even a bad text message. Like, just the way that I read it sent me spiraling. But we had a conversation. It was resolved within 15 minutes.
Right.
But I know that I need certain assurances when my borderline's kicking. You are an emotional assurance person when you're going through it. So in the event that I know that you're going through it and I know that you don't hate me and you're not abandoning me and that it's not the end of the world, I have no problem grabbing you, holding you, kissing you, touching you, because I've done it. But it takes a conversation for us to get to that point so that I know where I stand, because in the event that I believe you're going through those things, there's no way I can put myself in that position.
Right. So now I'm going to ask you a question. You've told me that when we are at odds or we're frustrated with each other, you don't want to do that. And that's why you don't do it.
Because I can't read the room. I don't know where I stand.
So the reason I haven't come to you and just sat in your lap and doing all that kind of stuff is because in you saying that you don't want to do those kinds of things in that moment, I was in fear of rejection.
Yeah. Would never reject you like that.
That's good to know.
Even if I was infuriated, like hostile, infuriated, and you tried to sit in my lap to calm yourself, I would never push you away. It would probably end up doing a soothing thing for both of us, because I would know that you're not leaving, that you're not thinking of abandoning me, that whatever this is, we're going to make it through it. Like, that would probably quench a whole lot of BPD nonsense in the moment. Put a lot of thought into this. So stop. I don't want there to be that one thing that I'm not able to provide simply because I haven't made the decision to do that. Does that make sense? And like, I know the emotional trauma and I know the emotional triggers and I know my emotional trauma and emotional triggers. And the hang up that I have always had is I don't know where I stand. And like, we had a day like 6 months ago where we didn't speak for like 5 hours. And I was like, is this going to fucking continue until tomorrow? And you're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you've given me the silent treatment all fucking day and I don't deserve this. And you're like, I'm not giving you the silent treatment. You were like, I've tried to talk to you here and there. You were like, you said, I'm processing what's going on because of the conversation we had. And I don't know how I feel about XYZ. And I'm trying to find the right way to talk to you. And this was how we figured out the whole, if you're frustrated and you can't figure out the words, you need to say, I'm going to be an asshole, and just say what you have to say so that we don't have that. And I was like, I have been giving you the silent treatment all day and treating you the way that I felt you were treating me. And had we just been like, hey, I'm not mad at you right now, I'm just trying to understand what's going on, that whole 6 or 7 hour process would have been 5 minutes. So we had to learn that the hard way. And those small things, and I say small, it was a big deal at the time. It turned out to be a very small thing because it was a very minor misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. Those small things will never repeat themselves because we've worked through those processes. It just took me a little bit longer to work through my processes of my emotional bullshit because I didn't know how to explain to you what I'm going through. And you've seen my borderline breakdowns. You had seen the borderline breakdowns. Recently, you've seen them way worse because I've had a couple of like bad episodes. And even those are mild in comparison to like month-long ordeals, which luckily I haven't had in a while. But I'm also a lot more comfortable now telling you what's going on because I don't feel like I'm blaming my borderline because you understand enough about my illness for me to tell you like specifically,
right,
this is a borderline thing. You know what it is. I need you to reassure me, blah, 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 blah. Because otherwise, when I say it's my borderline, I feel like I'm making excuses. You know how hard it is to tell somebody you have a problem and then say, well, it's because I'm an alcoholic. It's bullshit. You made a choice. Like,
right.
It may be a disease, but like, so for my borderline and the issues that I have, every time I have to tell you it's my borderline, I feel like I'm making excuses. I don't feel like I'm just living my life. And I don't want to be a guy that makes excuses, and I damn sure don't want to make it a crutch or make me a victim to my shit because it's not the case. I just need to get it out there. That's what I'm going through. And then once that emotion has been checked, I can logic brain think my way through the rest of it, but it's not always a comfort thing for me to get to that point.
Right.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of unnecessary conversation. What?
I needed that. I was thinking today about like the checklist and how you meet almost everything but that one thing.
Yeah.
And you just presented a solution to me. I was not expecting that. I was fully prepared to live the rest of my life without having that.
Nope. It's not necessary. I have to, I guess we both need the reassurances. And one of the big things with borderline is the abandonment. So anytime anything happens, if you even get slightly off with me, my initial go-to is you're leaving. Even though we don't talk about it, we don't do that. I believe that you're here. When my logic brain is going, I know we're going to leave. The smallest slight sends me right into abandonment.
Yeah.
And I know that. So when I'm going through that and I'm going through abandonment, I don't know how to process that. But if you climbed in my lap while I'm going, oh God, she's going to leave me. Obviously, you're not going anywhere if you're in my lap crying on my chest. You know what I mean? Like, I truly believe that would quench a lot of that. Even if I am frustrated or even if I'm actually angry at you, I don't think that would, I believe that would actually start to resolve the situation a lot faster for me. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
What?
I'm flabbergasted right now.
Okay.
I was not expecting any of that. I mean, I'm grateful. I guess I'm in shock.
Yeah.
Like I was standing in the piercing room, not the piercing room, the sterile room, scrubbing my tools. It was after we had our conversation, and I was like, this is just one of those things. I was like, am I gonna nitpick this, or I'm just gonna be like, he literally is everything else that I want in life. So 1 thing out of 10, I wasn't gonna harp on that.
Right.
I was going to.
Was this after our phone call at lunchtime?
Yes.
Okay. That was a big misunderstanding too. That was you were already frustrated and read my text message the way you heard it versus the way I said it, which is why I called and was like, hey, what's happening right now? Like,
yeah. I also felt like you could have worded that differently.
Well, going back and looking at it, I absolutely could have.
Yeah.
But I was putting out fires when I sent the text message.
Right.
So yeah, that's.
And like after hearing the conversation of why you were so frustrated, I get it.
I don't like text messages.
Yeah,
I
me
really
too.
don't, but I hate being on the phone even more. So like, that's why as soon as I got your reply, I called you. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is not, we're not doing that.
So before we get back into the email, I just want to reiterate everything that just happened.
Okay.
So we both showed how we are willing to make this relationship work for the other person.
Yeah.
I was fully prepared to live the rest of my life without that one emotional need being met. I was like on YouTube looking for ways to cope, coping mechanisms, what I could do to soothe myself to maintain peace in our relationship. And in turn, you have been sitting here thinking, what can I do to meet her emotional needs?
Right. I mean, you do it for me though. That's
Right.
why I've put so much thought into it.
I
You've
know.
never once thrown my borderline in my face. You've never told me I need to get meds. You've never told me I need to go to a therapist. You've never used that as a tool against me in a combative scenario while we were having an issue.
Right.
And that is a big fucking deal to me. So, of course, I'm going to start trying to find ways to do the same thing because I want to reciprocate the same energy that you're giving me. It just took time for me to figure out how to address the situation to make it work.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
Why'd you just struggle?
Because this is, I mean, I'm probably not going to cut this out of our podcast.
I hope you wouldn't.
Yeah.
This is why people watch this. We process shit on camera.
In real time.
In real time. I almost said the F word. I know I've said it a lot already, but
Yeah.
I'm really trying to catch myself. So back into the email. He likes a girly woman, and I am a jeans and t-shirt gal that can clean up nice, but really prefer not to. I don't doubt he's attracted to me at all, but I feel like I feel like I would be lacking for him because I know he likes it. What's your opinion on that as a man?
Well, I like a more feminine woman.
Right.
I love you in a dress. Love you in a dress.
That's like all I wear.
I love it.
Yeah.
But that also plays into our sub thing, dom sub thing, and we have rules with dresses and things like
Right.
that. And there's a whole lot that plays into that. So it's not just a beauty thing. There's an intimacy there and a sexuality there that means a lot to me.
Right.
But you in workout pants, like your stretchy, I get to see the booty.
Yeah.
I'm about it. So you in your black stretchy jeans,
Yeah.
I can see the booty. There's not a moment where I'm like, how dare you ever dress like that?
Right.
I'm not, it's just not who I am. If you're comfortable, that's fine. If we were if we wanted to go to Tampa or Sarasota and eat at a $100 a plate restaurant, I don't even know that's a thing. I don't go to fancy inn places, but
Right.
I have nice clothes that I can wear. I try not to wear them because, I don't want to look like that guy.
Right.
And I still look like I look just in fancy clothes, but I know what you look like when you clean up. So when you get dressed up and you put your Louis boots on and like you're doing your thing, like that's sexy to me.
Yeah.
but I don't expect it all the time. And if you did it all the time and that's the only way you dressed and that's what I got used to seeing, it would lose its luster.
Right.
Like that's not, why would you know what I mean? That's not a thing. So seeing you in onesie Chris and seeing you in workout Chris and seeing you in like, I'm going to the Whole Foods store or going to the grocery store, Chris, all those clothes are different.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing you in a, we're going to go to dinner dress. You're doing that for me.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing that for me.
Yeah.
That's a moment. Like
yeah.
That's like a snack, a reward. I feel like I'm getting a Scooby snack. Like
I also up it up when I know we're going out with like another couple.
Right. Oh, I know.
I have to show up.
Right.
I'm like, I'm your woman. I gotta look good.
And you do. So in that scenario, why not wear your jeans and t-shirt all the time? But when you go to dinner, show up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to go, why not go all out?
Right.
If you're a makeup person, do your makeup. If you're not a makeup person, just get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with all that. You come out of the room, say, if you know you're going to dinner at 6:30, leaving at 6:30 for dinner reservations at 7, and you go in at 5 o'clock and go, I'm going to go get ready for dinner, and you come out done up, dolled up.
Mm-hmm.
Your man's gonna be like, whoa, whoa, I got to go change.
Yeah.
I got to go change. I got to make sure that I match this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take us 5 minutes because, we really just have to put on pants and a t-shirt
Right.
or a button down or whatever, some gator skin shoes. Maybe a nice watch, some jewelry, whatever. If
Definitely
that's what
would
you're
not
into.
take as long.
Right, 5-10 minutes top. So you can do your whole thing, come out at 6:15, knowing we got to leave at 6:30. I'm gonna match that outfit. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire time that we're at dinner, I know that you got dressed and put all that effort into you to look good for me, not for the people that we're with, not for the people at the restaurant. You did that so that I had eye candy all night to think about what I got when I get home. That's a thing for men. That's how we think. It doesn't take much to get us going and like to make us feel like we matter and are wanted and desired. Mm-hmm. That's not even a thing. That's a
like an insecurity.
From my standpoint, that's an irrelevant point too.
Okay. Also, this sounds so corny, but I have been trying to find a man who responds well to me calling him Puddin', Joker, and Harley. He asked if he could be daddy instead because he likes it.
So the nerd in me is screaming right now, like full-fledged screaming about how toxic that relationship was and that it was not BDSM, it was not dom sub, it was not pleasant, it was fucking manipulative and abusive, and not just in the movie.
No, in the comics.
Like in the comics, he beat the shit out of her. Mm-hmm. Like that is not something that I would ever aspire to. If you want to call each other cute little nicknames, have at that.
Yeah.
I don't shame or care whatsoever about that, but do not try to emulate that relationship. Mm. That is the, I hate the word toxic, but that is the definition of a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
I am a nerd. I can definitively say,
do
your research. And if you still feel like you want that, then I would see a therapist. Mm-hmm. Because if that's the relationship you're going for, that is not healthy.
Mm-mm. I had a very close friend who she would compare her relationship to Joker and Harley. And their relationship was a mess.
Because of the movie.
What do you mean?
Was it because of the movie or was it because of comics?
Well, she was a nerd, so it could have been because of the comics. I don't know. That's me assuming. All I know is she would constantly compare them to Joker and Harley, and she would idolize that relationship. And their relationship was a mess. Mm-hmm. Like constant arguing, constant get out of my face. I don't want to be with you anymore. Trashing him to me, and then 2 days later, we're getting back together.
Yeah,
it was a constant repetitive cycle. Mm-mm.
People that watched the Suicide Squad that wanted that kind of relationship afterwards was because they saw a ride or die.
Right.
They saw a little bit of submission from Harley because she submitted to the Joker constantly in that movie. All she wanted to do was appease him and please him. Mm-hmm. And men want that from their woman. And then women want the protective gangster that will murk people for their woman. Mm-hmm. Not realizing that when you get a man like that who's off his rocker, you're going to end up alone because he's going to end up in prison for doing something stupid. Yep. So you really want that kind of relationship, especially if it's going to be you that he puts his hands on. Like that's a whole problem for me.
It is. I agree.
I don't remember. Oh, I was going to say that if you want to idolize gangsters, look at Bonnie and Clyde. That was a real ride or die. She broke him out of prison. Mm-hmm. Like she was ready to murder people for his ass and he loved her. Like there was not an abusive scenario there. You can't find any Bonnie and Clyde history where they talk about how he was shitty to her.
Right.
They were for each other. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of outlaws back in the day who lived that life. I don't know. If you're going to pick something like that and you want that kind of, that insanity, don't pick comic book characters.
No. Small things, but
hang on. I do think I'm assuming that that's more about the whole nickname thing.
I hope so.
And
if it's just a nickname thing, I mean, it's a nickname. I feel like
that should be an okay thing no matter what. There are things that you call me. There are things that I call you.
Right.
It is what it is. You can choose to respond to anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want a man that's going to respond to a cute little nickname that you give him, and daddy is what he's okay with, and you want to do that, that should be great.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not okay with that, and then you guys need to pick something else. That's
Right.
just, I don't know.
I feel like it needs to be a mutual agreement.
It does. And if this is also because you want a dom sub scenario, then there's a whole lot of information on the internet. You can learn about that too.
Mm-hmm. Small things, but I was like, aw, dang, LOL. I can't believe I'm breaking this all down for strangers, but I need thoughts from people who are real. Now the big one. He has a 4-year-old son who he currently has custody of. It makes me feel like a shitty person, but I can't say that I honestly want to start over with a toddler.
Nope. There's your answer.
That's it.
Yeah.
You just answered your own question.
Yeah.
Don't get with this man.
I don't condone this at all. All the other shit was superficial and kind of hokey. That alone, like, it's not worth it. If you can't definitively say that you are in love with him enough to accept his child, walk away, or just continue to sleep with him.
No, set that man free.
Yeah.
Let him find a wife.
Yeah.
You're just a girlfriend. Let him find a wife. Before you asked me to move in with you, was it a question in your mind that you didn't want to be with me because I had kids?
That's a hard question. That's a very hard question. We dated a lot, babe.
Right.
We did a lot. Like, there was a lot of, I don't know, I looked up just now, I swear to God, I saw a light on the ceiling in dark orange, and there's no orange lights on in here. It's past my bedtime. I'm getting senile. So that's a hard question, and that we dated a lot. And like, when we were not getting, like, when in the beginning, when we were figuring each other out and deciding that we were going to date, like, I knew you had kids and I accepted the kid thing.
Right.
In order for you to move in here, I had to accept the fact that there would be kids in my house.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very hard decision to make because I knew I wanted you. And in order to have you, I had to accept the kids. That was not an easy decision. And it's something that I weighed. But it was never one of those things where I was like, I don't know if I want her kids. It was, I don't know if I want her to move in here with her kids.
Right.
Because we could have lived separate for years. And, oh man, I almost knocked over my soda. We could have lived separate for years and courted and had an amazing relationship. And I could have had you on the nights that the kids are with their dad. And like, I would have never been a part of their lives. We would have developed, this is something I thought a lot about, obviously.
Right.
We would have developed a very tight relationship that would have lasted for years. I would have eventually been around the kids anyways. And by the time they were old enough to not be
Annoying.
I was going to say toddlers, but yes, because
Dude,
toddlers are annoying as
they're
hell.
so annoying right now.
They would have gotten into the 7, 8, 9-year-old stage where we can go and play Nerf guns and dodgeball, and I can be rough with their son, and like I don't have to worry about him being a baby and whimpery, and like, you know, the whining phases would be over, and I could have dodged all of that. But the for me thing is did I want to give up that much of my time with you waiting 4 or 5 years for the kids to hit those age?
Right.
Why would I want to miss all of that time when I could have you here even the nights when the kids are here because they're going to bed, and have my life with my woman? So there was a compromise that I had to make. Do I want to lose the time, or do I want to deal with the kids? And it, you know, the real grand scheme of it is I've done the dad thing. I may not have been the best father the first time around, but I now have an opportunity to maybe be better.
Right.
And there were a lot of factors that went into that. But I never once said, I don't want to be with her because she had kids, because if that was my definitive, we would have never slept together.
Right.
Like, there would have never been anything that went into that scenario, because if my definitive, I don't want to ever be a dad, I'm not even getting involved with a woman who has kids, like sexually or otherwise. If I was on Tinder and I met a woman and she's like, I got kids, I wouldn't even sleep with her. I would just leave. Because if I was that person that didn't want to do the kid thing again, I'm not getting involved in any way, shape, or form in that. I'm good. I don't know. That whole scenario for me, if you've got kids, and you are definitive on that, you don't want to raise another child and be a part of a kid's life at this point, don't do that.
So she goes on to say, I truly love his soul, who he is, and how good he treats me. I'm struggling to know if this is my intuition telling me he's not the one, or if it's me trying to push away a real chance at being loved by someone for once. It is telling you he is not the one. If you're questioning being with this man because he doesn't smoke pot, maybe you're not the one for him.
Yeah.
Like that would not be a deal breaker for me.
Right. Well, it wasn't. I mean, I'm not a smoker and you are.
That's my real life situation.
A lot of this is.
You don't smoke pot and I do. And this is the best relationship I've ever had. That was never a question in my mind.
Right, but I've also
you smoke weed.
I've also never tried to stop you from doing it. If we were courting and I found out that you smoked, or you told me like, hey, I'm a big pothead, and I had a problem with it, and I didn't have my medical card, and I didn't understand plant medicine, and I was definitive, no weed, and was like, well, you're gonna have to quit smoking if we're gonna be together. What? No, we're not doing that. Like that at that point, like I'm trying to control a person that I've just met.
Right.
So at that point, I would have a decision to make. Am I going to be okay with being with a girl who smokes, or is my beliefs that weed is the devil going to be so high that I'm willing to walk away from this? If they're not trying to change you or control you, and he's willing to accept the fact that you smoke, that should be a non-factor. The music thing and the traveling to Halloween spaces and being into Halloween, that's also really a non-factor.
Right, that's individuality.
There's nothing in that email that screams like I shouldn't be with this guy other than the kid thing.
Yeah.
So if those other things are things that you're nitpicking at because you don't want to be in a relationship, that's your answer. If you're considering that those things are a big deal to you, even though they're not really that big of a deal, and you're willing to overlook the fact that he's got a toddler and you don't want to play that game again, then maybe you do want to be with him and you're just looking for excuses to flee and not be with him. But that kid thing is a big one.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to come into a parent's life and fuck up a bunch of kids and like create trauma in that scenario. Be sure if you're going to pursue this and like don't even be around his kid unless you know this is going to be a thing.
Right.
That's a big deal to me.
Well, she said that.
She got a 14-year-old.
Right.
So she's raised a kid already.
So he has been expressing to me for about 7 years that he wants me to be his wife.
Yeah.
If he knew that you were questioning being in his life because of his child, I bet his tune would change.
Probably.
Don't do this to him. Don't do this to his child.
Could you imagine having somebody around you for almost a decade?
Yeah.
Almost a decade. Wanting to marry you? Not date you.
Right.
Marry you. And just stringing them along for that long because you're not sure what you want?
How does he have a 4-year-old when he's been wanting to marry her for 7 years?
Well, I'm sure they haven't been together.
Right.
They've been boinking. There's a clip for you, AJ. They've been doing the dirty.
So he went off and had a child with a whole nother woman.
Right.
And he's still coming back to you and saying, I want to be with you.
Yeah.
You need to let this man go. Follow your intuition. Don't.
Sex is not enough.
It is not enough. I don't care how great the sexual connection is.
You sure about that? I'm just kidding.
You are by far the greatest lay I've ever had in my life.
Ooh. Stop it.
If that's all you had to provide for me, you would only be the greatest lay of my life.
Right.
You would not be my husband.
That's the way that's supposed to be, though. If you're going to fool around and that's all it's going to be, let it be all that it is.
Right.
But if you want to build a foundation and you really want something with someone, you got to look past a lot of that mediocre nonsense. You're not going to ever have somebody that checks all 10 boxes that matches every single aspect of your life. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
If you get somebody that checks off 5 of 10 boxes, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That's more than most people are going to get. If you court someone for a long time and learn them and find somebody and you don't settle, you might find somebody that's 7 or 8 boxes. To find somebody that checks off all 9 or 10, that's just rare. It's rare.
I'm lucky.
We both are, but that's not heard of.
No, it's not.
People get hung up on a lot of really petty things.
Clearly.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would say it. You know, if him being a pot smoker is your deciding factor, I just had a whole deja vu moment.
Yeah, because we've been talking about this for an hour.
Wow. No, like I've had a dream about this.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, my final answer. Trust your intuition.
Final answer.
He is not the one.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye. I don't know. I think the first three things are nonsensical and don't make sense to be a deciding factor in a relationship. I think the kid one is a big one.
Yeah.
If you can't definitively say, like, I'm willing to step back in to a man's life that's got a 4-year-old,
Right.
meaning I have to be a parent for another 14 years if I'm going to be with this man, and you are not definitively willing to take that step, don't bother. Because you are committing 14 years to that child if you guys end up being together.
And don't string him along either.
Yeah, let him find somebody that can be there for him.
Who wants to be a stepmom.
Right. It doesn't sound like he's a bad man. I mean, there was nothing negative in there other than he doesn't smoke weed.
Right.
So we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys. Hey, guys, if you enjoyed that, found it entertaining, funny, or even learned something you didn't know before, share it. And if you're not subscribed, why aren't you? And for those of you who want to support us, get access to exclusive content and live streams, we do have a Patreon. All the links are in the description.